So I have a GED test exam to take. Hopefully I'll be able to pass the test this time. If not, I'm just going to keep trying until I finally get my GED, or at least this language arts, and then I have to work on my math. I have some practice when I take these online courses, that even if I have to drop out of the class and probably go look for a job, at least, I'm making progress, and hopefully for my GED. But I wanted to talk about a few things about my GED class when I was at Mary Grimes Alternative School. Talked about I enrolled twice. I enrolled once, had to drop out to get my diploma. Then, obviously because I was skipping school, and you can't skip school very many times there. And then I re-enrolled, but I couldn't re-enroll in high school diploma program. I had to go to enroll into the GED. So I enrolled to this GED. I remember I remember one of the students' names. And one of the students' names was Frankie. And he was in the class, and it's the only person I remember because his name obviously was Frankie, but it was because his younger brother had got into a fight with John Basili many years ago. And I didn't say anything when he saw me, but he knew who I was. And I was kind of nervous because this guy was a lot bigger than me. He beat me up. But anyway, I never talked to him. He never gave me mad dog faces, but I remember the teacher in the class, and I wanted to say this because this is how I think that, or know that Sarah and Ken Cooper had such an influence on everyone, who the mascot was and who knew what was better for my immediate family. And I remember telling my GED teacher, she said, so yeah, everyone has to enroll out of class if they're over 18 years old and has to start attending night school. And there was no bus, to my understanding, that drove the bus there at night. I remember definitely doing the research. It could have been, but I don't think there was, and I didn't have a car, and I was going to get kicked out of the house, and I told her, my teacher, and I said, I'm going to end up getting kicked out of my house and go look for a job because I can't go. I have to leave school. I have to go to work. My mom's telling me to go. I have to go to work. And one of the things that I remember why she was sitting next to Frankie one day, she said, and told me and said, and she was doing, like, helping Frankie do some work, and she looked over at me and he goes, oh no, they're gonna change the law to 18 and over has to go at night school. And she said it kind of serious to me, but in a way that, like if you think somebody is gonna steal money from someone, but they don't know that and you just kind of, you're suspicious of them. That's exactly how she looked at me and behaved. And I didn't really think anything of it because she kind of looked like the lady that worked at Grandy's. The ladies that you used to have at Grandy's when you went to the restaurant, old school restaurant, which I used to go there with my dad and mom. And they had an old lady in the gown, and she would help serve biscuits, and they used to have that back in the day. And but I remember that, and she was very nice for the most part, but I remember once I told her I was going to be homeless, I was almost waiting for her to feel empathetic for me, and she really wasn't. She was just like, that's life, and I remember her going to her desk and looking at a screen and be like, I was just kind of very much brushed off, I don't care. I could tell the reaction, this person wasn't showing very much empathy. Obviously, she's just a teacher, but at the time I was really, really scared because I didn't know what was going to happen with my life and finding a place to live, and then in the streets being embarrassed like that and shamed, and everything that I did, no one cared. So I thought I'd share a video with that. And it was such it was a very tough situation because I remember this is how I talked about that I And well, I was attending when I was attending the GED program. I mean, that Mary Grimes the first time. I talked about there was a lady that looked like could have been what was her name? Madison Cooper's mother, but it wasn't her. It wasn't her mother. But she looked very attractive, and she had a picture. And I talked about this before. And that plays a huge influence in how, oh, Sarah Cooper takes charge because my dad's in a nursing home. You're just after his money. So there's always this Mexican kid that's there that's always the kid that's bad. So anyway, I don't know anything that anyone knows about anything else. I just know I'm stranded. So I go enroll into the second time, and this is already the build-up. So whenever in my GED class, I remember there was a lady that looked exactly, very much close like Madison. Very pretty girl, very pretty. And she looked like a detective. She looked like she could have worked for somebody that was in some sort of high level in the police department or government. She looked very professional, or some child protective services investigator or something. And she was talking to the class. I don't remember what she was talking about, but she said something when she was walking in front of the class. There's only like 4 people in the class, 3 people in an entire big room in this class. Only like 3 or 4 people. Sometimes it'd be like 3 or 2. Because it was a very small school. It was probably like 150 students. There's probably like 100 students, 120 students, the entire school. But I remember being in the class, and she was talking, and she was referencing me to something about, and I remember her pointing her finger, and she was like, because then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do this. And she was sort of role playing and acting like, okay, how can you get triggered and take a look at someone's reaction to be able to get an idea of whether this person is out for money, doing more bad, or just wanted to retaliate. And at the time, me and my mother weren't getting along at all. And that's what happened. And I remember looking at her, and I remember she didn't really make any eye contact with me. I think she glanced at me once, but it particularly wasn't like the way that I was used to some females looking at me, where I was either a handsome looking guy or I was someone of value. It was more like, I want to figure out what Hector's going to do. And so when Ken Cooper's working for the police department, a detective, and all this rapes and all these things that are going on, they're turning everything against me because they know that I'm trying to protect my father's money. And they're making me shit right now. But I needed to make a video on this to explain about what was going on and the harassment and influences. These people were harnessing, oh, okay, we fight for, the Cooper family, and they're going after me and I'm paying for it. And my mother doesn't know anything about this. So I thought I'd make a video on that. And there's something else I needed to talk about as well. I can't remember what else. There was something else I needed to talk about. You're making me shit, so.